Hi, Geoff Rosenberger here at Jeff's Page, Atlantic City Weekly. We're here with one of the main facilitators of the Occupy Atlantic City movement.
My name is Tiffany Cesar. I'm 31 from Mullica, New Jersey. I work in the healthcare industry, and I've been working with Occupy Atlantic City since the beginning.
And what was the beginning of Occupy Atlantic City?
The beginning was 2 weeks after the Occupy Wall Street movement began. I decided we'd have a small meeting in Ventnor. About 20 people showed up, and that's where it began.
And what do you think you have following you now? Do you have any idea?
On Facebook, we have 600, the number just hit. On Twitter, 400 more. And there's tons of people that have been supporting us that aren't on social networking websites.
Now I have a question for you. Occupy Atlantic City was born on Facebook when? What date? Give or take.
Around October 9th or 10th.
Somewhere
a
around
couple
October.
days after Wall Street began.
So give or take, in Wall Street, the first encampment was September 17th. Am I remembering that correctly?
September 17th, yes.
And how many encampments are there now?
There are, I don't know the exact number offhand, there are over 1,500, I believe it's close to 1,600 worldwide. Every continent has occupations right now.
So today's November 17th, 16th, somewhere in there. So in 2 months we have grown from 0 to 1,600 encampments across the United States. So this is obviously, from your perspective, a growing movement. What do you hope to accomplish here in Atlantic City? Why Atlantic City?
Why Atlantic City? Atlantic City has had a lot of problems for too many years. We're hoping to bring the community together and have their issues addressed. We want to help them work to resolve the issues they've been dealing with as a community.
I'm 64 years old, unemployed, not by choice. And there are a lot of things in this city that need to be addressed. Homelessness, there's no market in this city, the education of our children. Just life as it is now is not good.
If I remember, you said you had the same job for 17 years. I just heard you talking as we were having some dessert.
Yes, I did.
And what happened there?
And they fired me and hired somebody in my place, paid them less money to do the same job I was doing.
Oh, it wasn't even a case of okay, so you were a replaced employee.
Yes,
you were one of those
replaced.
grain and unusable.
Top of the pay scale, so it's time for you to go hire someone else.
So, are you living comfortably on unemployment?
Unemployed right now, just living on Social Security, this is wrong, but I'm making it.
You're of Social Security age. I forgot
Yes,
to mention
I am.
that.
Yes, I am.
Who would have guessed? I do know that we have all sorts of age groups involved in this. Now, are you planning to camp also, or are you planning to, how are you planning to
I'm not
enjoy
going to
the
camp
occupation?
overnight, but I'll be there every day, bringing donations, people, rides, whatever's needed. I'm gonna get in where I fit in and work that way.
Jeff, I've been living in Atlantic City now for going on 4 years, I guess. And I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of need for growth. And I'm just excited to see a group like Occupy come along at this point. And I stopped by just to talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on here and some of the positive things that can happen with our wonderful city.
I want to talk about the positive things because everywhere I open up I hear about negative things. What can you tell me about the positive things you see?
Well, Jeff, at this point, one of the greatest and biggest things that can help this area is the ability to really, truly develop community partnerships. I think partnershiping with the business community, the residential community, the commercial entities here, and the city government as well, is going to be crucial as we move forward to establish the things here in Atlantic City that we need to establish. Well, Occupy can become the tentacles, if you will, to the octopus. And what I mean by that, Jeff, is that Occupy can actually go out and begin to reach some of these different partnership needs that might exist within Atlantic City and the region. Historically, what we've seen so far with Occupy is that they've been viewed as a protest group. Well, here in Atlantic City, what I believe Occupy can be more effective in doing is that rather than being a protest group, they can be a perform group. They can actually go out and reach the people. And rather than talk about issues, let's talk about putting gardens in the city. Let's talk about tutoring the children. Let's talk about finding reasonable and realistic things that we can do with our indigent. Let's talk about those things, and let's find a way to make Atlantic City better and utilize the Occupy movement to our advantage. Let it not be viewed as a protesting group. Let it be viewed as a performing group.
What separates the campers on the park from the indigent on the street?
Economy and the lack thereof. The protesters in the park and in the tents go back to their homes on a majorative basis. The indigent on the street live there.
Anything you want to add?
I just hope and pray that as we move forward with this in the Occupy Atlantic City process, that everyone becomes sympathetic not to the movement, but to the need that exists here for the people of Atlantic City. And I hope that we have the ability to establish a strong basis of community partnership with the business community, with the government community, with the residential community, and really do the things that are going to be needed to bring about growth in Atlantic City.
And I'm co-facilitator for Occupy South Jersey. The other facilitator is Jamie. And we came together because we are in solidarity with the Occupy Wall Street movement. And we want to remind our government that we have a dream. We, the people, have a dream. And the dream is that we have economic equality, that we have true representation in government, and that we can end all wars, so that money for wars can be put into education, healthcare, and the basic needs of our people.
I've been here in Atlantic City all the way since 1997. I lived in the city, worked in the city, casinos, several jobs, and I just been following the movement. Occupiers here in Atlantic City, I see they've been starting to gather, and there's a lot of information out there. And I also have a lot of friends, I have a lot of family that want to know exactly what is going on. So I came by, I said, let me come see exactly what's going on, get my feet wet, as some people might say, because a lot of people have a lot of questions and they want answers. And I'm here to also ask questions, listen in, so I can take that information back to my fellow family, friends. One of the main things I think I remember when I first moved here in '97, I came from New York. A lot of people wanted to move down here in Atlantic City. People wanted to come. This was the place to be. Right now, the year that we are, 8, 9 years later, right now everybody's moving out of Atlantic City. And why is that? I mean, what's going on? Obviously, it's something. I mean, everything's gone up. There's no more supermarkets. I remember being able to go down, to the local supermarkets. You can't even have that anymore. I mean, everything's going, prices high, rent is high, taxes is really, really high. So everybody, for some reason, everybody's now moving out of Atlantic City.
Tell us where you're going, when you're going, why you're going. Where's camp?
Where's camp? Camp is going to be the parking lot where Sands formerly was located. It has been destroyed. It is a vacant parking lot. It's been sitting there. Looks absolutely horrible vacant, and we're going to turn it into something. It's on the corner of Indiana and Pacific Avenue, next door to Brighton Park, where we've been holding our general assemblies.
What's the history of that lot?
History of that parking lot. Well, there's a lot of buildings that are next to that lot that are abandoned and run down. That parking lot itself, Pinnacle, Ace Entertainment, they're the owners of that parking lot. They purchased the lot because they had planned on building community development, and we've gotten nothing yet. They destroyed a post office while doing that. They did a road expansion project. They pretty much displaced community members and a lot of angry residents. So we'd like to draw attention to that. And
So you think it's the natural spot? And that is this Saturday, November 19th?
it is this Saturday, November 19th. We're calling it N19. We're meeting at 9 a.m. on that lot.
Okay.
We have a backup plan as well. We have multiple plans
Now
if we need to move.
multiple plans and backup plans. I guess you got A, B, C levels of tiers.
We have A through Z.
Good.
Very strategic.
A question. One of the things here, actually not a question, we're a repeat of something that was discussed earlier. You mentioned to me that Occupy Wall Street started with how many tents?
There were 5 tents in the beginning.
And how many is it up to?
Well, as you know, there were
Before
thousands
last
of tents.
night?
There were thousands of tents before last night.
Anything you want to add before we leave here, Tiffany?
We're looking forward to Saturday. Looking forward to bringing the community together and getting things done.